Joe Levitch of lead-locators.com posted an article, EPA Cover-Up Words, and I was intrigued because he wrote what I was thinking. As a lead risk assessor, I should be talking the same lingo as all other lead paint inspectors. So when I talk to clients, tenants, or anyone else, we, as inspectors, can help you make sense of the terms using the same language. The terms I'm referring to are interim controls, paint stabilization, encapsulation, enclosure, and lead abatement. Interim controls are temporary measures to cover lead painted surfaces. Paint stabilization, which is covering with a sealing paint typically used for short-term applications. Encapsulation, think of it as a paint on steroids. It is specifically designed to be a painted on thick lead sealer, typically used for long-term applications. Enclosure is a long-term technique used to add an impermeable cover to a leaded component. Think of new vinyl siding over old leaded siding. Lead abatement is not interim controls. Lead abatement typically involves removing leaded components altogether from the home. Sometimes removing all the leaded components from a home is not practical. This is where enclosure and or encapsulation are more appropriate. These techniques and materials are still interim stabilization measures because deep down there's still lead paint existing. Paint stabilization is a process that leaves lead paint on the substrate like a wall, but seals the lead paint in a way that protects the occupants from exposure. There are two types of control methods, interim controls and lead abatement. Interim controls are short-term and last 4 to 5 years. They are typically completed with sealer paint before a reinspection. Interim controls are a set of measures to temporarily reduce human exposure or likely exposure to lead paint and lead paint dust. These measures can also include specialized cleaning, repairs, maintenance, temporary containment, and ongoing monitoring of the maintenance. An example would be a water leak that caused a lead painted surface to peel and or crack. Encapsulation is considered long-term, up to 20 years. It refers to a specialized coating, an encapsulant over the lead-based paint to seal it and prevent the release of lead-based paint chips and dust. Don't be fooled by the hype of these products. They are hard to use and apply. Joe Levitch from Lead Locators said, I have not read anything positive about these products. On my lead paint inspections, I have found that encapsulation products do not work on friction and impact surfaces and wear out quickly, even if the directions are followed to a T. It's also important to note that the surface that's intended to be encapsulated must be intact for the encapsulation product to hold. In my experience, no matter the manufacturer, it sounds great. But in terms of longevity, it is not effective. Lead enclosure is long-term, lasting 20 years. It must be done with the understanding that it's less expensive than abatement, but that the lead is still under there. An example would be new siding over old lead-based paint siding. The major difference in my inspection world is the terms that I use depend on what inspection is appropriate for the situation. Let me explain. If I'm doing a lead hazard inspection, the typical interim controls I will suggest are short-term paint stabilization. If I'm doing a risk assessment, depending on the situation and what I see, I'll recommend different paint stabilization techniques. If I'm doing a lead abatement inspection, I want to make sure the leaded components are gone. If not, I want to make sure the contractors have used an encapsulation product or an enclosure technique. These are a form of paint stabilization tools that, if for some reason the leaded component can't be removed, they are reportedly effective enough to last 20 years based on the Toledo, Ohio Lead Safe Ordinance 20-year Lead Safe certificate. In summary, paint stabilization has several terms that have important distinctions. Interim controls are a way of explaining temporary measures to make things lead safe for a period of time. The short-term measure is paint stabilization, where you're adding a new layer of sealer paint over a layer of lead paint. There are two long-term paint stabilization methods. Encapsulation, a term and a product that is a specific, specialized coating for long-term lead separation from human contact. Encapsulation products are hard to use, hard to work with, and don't last the 25 years the manufacturers promote. Enclosure, a term that means adding material to cover up leaded components. An example would be new siding over old siding. Lead abatement is forever. This is when the sources of lead dust and lead paint have been completely removed with the intent of removing all lead paint. Both encapsulation and enclosure can be used when removal of lead-based paint components is impractical. However, they are still long-term interim controls because underneath all those layers is still lead paint. Want to know the source of lead dust in your home built before 1978? Go to instantleadtestkits.com and check out Lumetalix, the instant lead detection test. Now you can see invisible lead dust instantly. If it glows neon green, you found lead. Go to instantleadtestkits.com and check out Lumetalix. For more lead paint information, resources, and videos, go to leadpaintdetectives.com.